Hey pilots, it's Craig Gamma with Paraglider Service USA again. And this is part 2 of a series on paraglider trim tuning, means pitch tuning as well. And so in the first part video that I did just before this, it was with a Fee Beat paraglider, size 22, that I did in my own spreadsheet to kind of explain the concerns. And then this one here is the official Excel spreadsheet that's done by Fee Paragliders, as well as Nova does the same thing. And the guy that they hired to do this for all their gliders, makes, models, and sizes. It's at the bottom of this page here. See, it's copyright by Ralph Ants, and he's the mathematical engineer that put these all together. And this is copyrighted, so I can't mimic this. It's proprietary. But I went ahead and put all the line measurements that I made when I first measured the glider into their system here on this Excel spreadsheet, and that's what I do over here on this side. You just put them in. You can do it by laser or you can do manually. So I did it manually and put it in, and then you put in the, and then once you do it, at the very bottom you hit evaluate. There's an evaluate button, and then it pushes you right over to this page. And right off the bat it tells you what's going on here. So if you look at the top here, you can see my cursor. The length of the lines is okay, the total length, the length of the brakes, the symmetry between the lines and the total symmetry is okay, but pitch might be wrong. Big boulder, that's got to be green as well, and it's not. And so this is like I was telling you earlier on the first video, that everything was, plus or minus 10 millimeters line group wise. Individualized, you can see some that are above 10, but when you average out the line groups, this is the line group charts down here. Looks a lot different than what you saw in my Excel spreadsheet, but it's similar format. The line groups 1, 2, and 3 on for the A, B, C, and D rows and stabilos, so it's all the same, but just a different look. But anyhow, so I need to adjust the pitch here, and so the way to do it on their system, and what I meant when I was on that first video, I was telling you that this guy Ralph Ants here, he's calculated it to the gnat's ass in the regards that every line diameter, every segment is all calculated into this spreadsheet for this specific make, model, and size, such that when I make a change with a loop, milling loop, I don't have to remeasure the glider. It gives me the results right off the bat. So let's say here, line group A1, and I know this won't make sense to you because it's foreign looking, but I'm really familiar with it. So here's line group A1 where my cursor is, and then A group 2 on the right and A3 on the right. So A1, A2, A3. And so if you look here, the mullion loops that are on there it states 0 because that's where their standard location was. They're all single loops. And so if I go and select -7 here on line group A1, R on the right side, that makes it a double loop, and it changes the numbers. Watch, I don't know if you can see it here. I'll go ahead and click it again, and you can see some numbers change. And then A group 2, I'll go hit that, make that a double loop, some more numbers change. And so I'm going to make the changes that I made on my spreadsheet. I'm doing that right now. So on the left side, I did the same thing. I did a double loop on line group A1, line group A2. I did double loop. See how the numbers are changing? We get less and less red numbers up here. And all the ones that are white with red numbers are dissipating too and turning colorful, and getting rid of all the reds. Scroll down now, we go to the C row. Whoops, I went a little too far here. There we go to the C row. So line group C1 on the right side will go -7, it's a double loop. Line group C2, I made that an anchor stitch. Make that a -10. And then on this side, I did a double loop on line group C1 on the left. Make that and then on the C2, I made that a double loop. And so those are the changes I made. And then, the stabilo, I did a double loop on the right side here. So I'll make that a -7 there. And okay, let's see what the results were. And now it shows, look at here. See, the pitch is okay now. And so everything's green, and this is what you're looking for up here. Everything's green. This is all automated, so you know that you've done everything right. And so if you look at this is all the individual lines on the right side and the left side. And you know, the top's A row, next row down the yellows are the B row, and the greens are the C row. And then down here at the bottom of the gray is the brakes. And so let's scroll down a little bit more. And so here's the line group charts I was telling you about. That's a must-have, and that's what I'm looking at to evaluate. This is where it all happens. You can look at the individual all you want, and you're not going to get the true picture. You're going to just know plus or minus 10 millimeters from spec, and that's it. You're not going to notice. You're not going to be able to evaluate pitch unless you put them in the line groups, like I'm circling here with the plus sign. Now this one over here on this line group chart on the left here that I'm circling is mimicking what we have up above from the measurements. What's off the right here is if you're zeroing out the B row. So I calibrate the B row at 0, and then and it's going to base it off that aspect. And but in any case, this is kind of what I wanted to show you when we get perfectly engineered system that's automatic, where I don't have to remeasure the glider now. I just make those mounting loop changes and it's good to go. And that's what's really slick about the Fee and the Nova Paragliders. When you trim tune them, they have these great Excel spreadsheets here that are just dialed in, man. And so you can even see this right over here, it says ATO. Watch this, I'll put everything back. See where it says all back? Everything's gonna go back to what it was originally. Pingo. We got everything back to what it was originally. Where it says pitch might be wrong, and then all these are red numbers with white backgrounds, everything's off, and then you hit the ATO, and it does it automatically. You don't have to do it yourself. You don't even have to think. Just hit ATO, does its little mathematical stuff, and it's done. Everything's, look at here, the pitch is okay again. Everything's hunky-dory, but look what the total is. It says the difference between the main lines is 15. So what I'm saying is, when I did it myself without doing the automatic, actually, you know, not trying to pat myself in the back, but it ended up being a little bit better. And so I look at we still got some white numbers with, white highlighted areas that have red numbers. And they did a little bit different. They did a little more anchor stitches in the few spots where I didn't. So let me put it all back again. Well, let me just show you the changes I made. So let's, line group 1, they did W loop. They did AS over here, so I'll make it back to double loop. And over here, C group 1 on the right was an AS. I'll put it back to double loop, what I did. And they had this over here as anchor stitch plus. I actually just did it in an anchor stitch. So put that at anchor stitch. And on the left side here in the C group, I did that double loop. And then on this side, I did a double loop. So I'm changing these from anchor stitch to double loops. And over here, again, on the A rows on the left side, I did an anchor stitch to double loop. And then this, okay, now it's mimicking what I did on evaluating in my spreadsheet. And then we look back up the top here and we see where actually the difference on the main lines is 11 millimeters. So it's a little bit better trim. Not much, but a little bit. And so that's what I ended up doing on my own spreadsheet. But in any case, I just wanted to show you guys how an automated system that's been engineered mathematically that takes into account all the specific line diameters throughout the entire glider for this specific size and model, how it works and how you can, you know, what I'm doing is I'm double checking my work from my spreadsheet when I put it into theirs to see that I'm doing it what I was taught. I'm, you know, consistently doing it in sync with what I was taught, and you know, so I double check myself. And there's times I'll bounce it off. Even my service manager at Nova, I'll send it to him saying, "Hey, can you take a look at this?" And he'll do that for me and get back to me on feedback and whatnot. But anyhow, just thought I'd share this with you all in regards to how important it is to do pitch balancing with your trim tuning, because trim tuning just the line lengths alone is a no-go. You can't, it's only half the picture. And you got to take a speed. Oh, another thing I mentioned in the other video that I made a mistake. If you look up here where it says pitch break, and pitch speed value. I had mentioned that I think phi was 6 millimeters. Well, I was incorrect. Well, I was half right. Their pitch break value is plus or minus 4 millimeters, and their pitch speed value is plus or minus 6 millimeters. And so that's the difference, where Nova has them both at 4 millimeters. So pitch break is the higher angle attack with the leading edge up, and pitch speed is with your leading edge angle down. And so that's the parameters there in that regard. So anyhow, stay safe, pilots out there, and remember to follow your periodic scheduling of your services that are recommended in your service manuals. Talk to you later.